What's up, gang? I am super excited today. I'm sharing with you my 7 secret steps to making an OKR implementation a huge success. First, let's talk about where it goes wrong. I've seen this happen so many times. I've had people reach out for help where they're trying to make OKR work and they've just not gotten there. When I go through what didn't work, we realize there's no buy-in at the team level. They didn't understand why they were doing it. They weren't into it. They didn't see the benefit. There was no support in the team. So if they needed help, they just couldn't get it. They were on their own. Not only that, we were poorly done OKRs. And that would mean that the OKRs were really not great quality and they weren't sure what to do with them. They weren't getting any wins off them. It's just super frustrating. Now, even if they did have good OKRs, they didn't know how to embed them so that they're tracking them effectively, but also collaborating as a team on making sure that they achieve them. And so what this ended up creating was frameworks that people would either not want to work with anymore, or if they were forced to, they would just hate it and go through the motions. I wanted to help you avoid all those sort of mistakes today, and we're going to give you a framework that it absolutely crushes it for the business. First, a very quick idea about what is OKR and also where did it come from, because this is pretty important. OKR is a goal-setting framework. It is something that was born in Silicon Valley by a company called Intel. You might have heard of them. The whole reason why they got started though, this is the most important part. Andy Grove created the framework because Japan was having a huge impact on the microprocessor market. They were all just quite early stage and Intel was trying to fight them off. And it was coming down to quite a cutthroat sort of moment where it was going to be sink or swim between a few of the organizations around the time, namely Motorola and Intel. They were the two big ones fighting it out. Andy Grove created the OKR framework to get the team focused, aligned, and absolutely crushing their goals to make sure they could outmaneuver Motorola. And you know what? They came out on top, and you can have the same sort of power in your business. Let's do the 7 steps. We'll start with the first one. Now, this is the second most important one, arguably, that you need to cover off, and it's why OKR. To get clear on that, there's 3 questions you need to ask yourself. Why OKR in the first place? Why now? And how will the team benefit? Now that last bit doesn't sound quite so obvious, but you need to answer it because you know what? If they don't understand how it's going to help them, they're not going to want to do it. They're not going to be interested. So you got to make sure you're crystal clear on why OKR, why now and why not later, and how's it going to help the team members. Once you're clear on the why, you want to work out who are we introducing this to. Now, if you're doing this on your own and you're a small sort of startup, you might be able to do this business wide. If you're any larger than that, you probably want to pick 1 or 2 teams to do it with. If you've got someone helping you, like an OKR coach or something like that, you can listen to them and push it as broad as you want. But again, it's about getting focused and testing this out. So find your OKR pilot group. That's tip number 2. As we get down to number 3, it's important to have an OKR champion for every group or team that you're working with. So if a team is trying out OKRs, make sure that someone in that team is the OKR advocate. They're the person that is going to be really making sure they support the process. You want to make sure they can facilitate all the right OKR workshops and have all the right tools, but also if they need help, they can reach out to you. If you're a founder and you've got an OKR champion in each team, that's how you bring the group together and make sure that if something's not working, that you can really drive it forward and make it hum. Now that you've got your pilot group, you've got your champion, hopefully they're all trained on the basics of OKR, you're ready to identify what will you be working on for your first OKR. Now, we don't start with the OKR. We take a step back and look at the problem. What problem are we needing to solve right now that is most important? Now, this could be something that is constraining growth for the business because it's a customer problem, and if we could address it, then we'd actually be able to sell more of our product. It might be a problem with our product where it's causing churn or something like that. It may be a problem in our pipeline. We might be losing too many leads at a certain point, or so many customers might be exiting because they're not enjoying our sales calls or something like that. Or it could be an internal process problem. Maybe it takes too long for us to respond to customer inquiries. Maybe something's too expensive for us to do. Whatever the case, identify the problem that you need to solve as a critical priority this quarter. Don't select a whole bunch. Get focused on just the one. Now that is going to be the candidate for your OKR once you're clear on that problem to solve. So the next step is, of course, creating an OKR. Now, at the end of this video, you're going to see another video which talks about how to set your OKRs, and it even talks about how to have a strategic discussion around OKR goal setting. However, For now, I want to give you the basics. We talk about the objective. What do we want to achieve? We have a why is that objective important right now? Gives us context and aligns us to the real meaning behind it. Number 3 is we want to understand the key results. How do we measure success? Now that's going to be 2 to 3 metrics most likely. You can get anywhere up to 5, but we want to see us moving numbers in a right direction. This isn't a to-do list. It is actually moving real metrics, real numbers in the right direction. Now they should also be numbers that we can see move through the quarter. We don't want to be something where we go a whole quarter and can't see the numbers move. We want to be able to see if we're trying to improve conversion rate. Can I tweak the onboarding flow a little bit and see, does that increase conversion? We're going to look at those sort of things as part of this OKR. Now, of course, that raises the question, well, hey, how are we going to do that? It's great to have the objective. I understand why we're doing it. I've got the numbers now. I know I need to move, but how do I actually do it? Well, that's where you capture your initiatives. Now, that could be actions, projects, whatever you want to call it, but it's the stuff you're going to do to achieve those key results. You want to get crystal clear on that as part of your OKR setting. Now, you do this as a team. You don't set it as a manager and give it to the team. You do this as a group. Now, once you've got your great OKR, that's going to help you kick off with a whole bunch of power and force. Now, really, that OKR should help you progress your strategy. It should be aligned to your vision. It should have all these things that helps you take a step towards or a valuable slice out of the big picture of the business. But it's bringing it down to something near term. Now that you're off and running though, what do? Well, you've obviously got to execute on the projects to make it happen, or the activities or the initiatives, whatever you call it. But then you actually need to track it. Now, this is super critical, and this is where I see teams get it wrong. I'm a huge fan of tracking it weekly. Yes, weekly. Might feel like we've got too much. Hey, do we really have to check in on this weekly? If it's important to you in the business, weekly is barely enough, but it's going to do the job, right? At least weekly, you want to be tracking your OKRs. Now, how do we track them? We go through 4 data points. Number 1 is, what's the confidence score for each key result? How likely do I think I am to achieve it? Some teams like to use a red, amber, green sort of color coding system. I prefer to have a bit of a percentage. How likely do I think I am to achieve this? Choose your flavor. Whatever works for you works, right? But the confidence score for each key result. Again, for each key result, what did I achieve over the past week? What have I done? What have I done to move the needle on this key result? Not only what have I done, but hey, what am I thinking about for the week ahead? And where am I blocked? Where could I get some support from team members, other people, management, whoever it might be? Where do I need to get support? If you cover off those 4 points and have a discussion as a team, you'll be shocked at how much value and impact your OKRs have. If you don't do that, I can promise you, your OKRs will quickly be forgotten and you're not going to make progress on them. And you're going to get to the end of the quarter and wonder, why didn't I make progress? Now, speaking of end of quarter, and this is literally the most important part. You want to score your key results. That's pretty important, but here's the kicker. The retrospective. Look at what worked and what didn't work. Look at the process. Did we choose the right problem to solve? Were we collaborating effectively to make sure that we're getting that traction? Do we manage our projects effectively? All these sort of questions are going to help you improve the process for next time. Now, one of the key things as you're coming into this process is you need to set the expectation with everyone that your first OKR is not going to be perfect. The process isn't going to be perfect, but you're going to go through, you're going to learn, you're going to tweak and improve. And that is where the biggest value comes in. So there you have it, team. The 7 secrets to a successful OKR implementation that you can follow in your own business. Let's recap it really quickly. Number 1, start with why. Number 2, work out who are the pilot groups or group that you're going to be doing OKRs with. Number 3, make sure every team has a champion ready to help them support and embed OKRs and take a real lead on it. Number 4, make sure that coming into your quarter, you've got a really clear problem you want to solve. Number 5, set your OKRs with really great objective, really great key results and clear initiatives to make it happen. Number 6, check in on it weekly. Don't forget about it. You've got to be tracking this weekly. And if you've only got one OKR, which you should out of your OKR setting, then it's going to be easy to talk about on a weekly basis. Most importantly, run a retrospective at the end of the quarter. What were the wins? What were our losses? What can we learn for next time? Also, how can we improve the OKR process to make it more valuable for us? So those are the 7 steps. I really want this to be a huge success for you. So I've included a checklist in the description below. You can see it linked there. It's not behind like an email wall or anything like that. You can go in and grab it. There's other resources there that you might find helpful. Go and check it out. If you need help, we talk to heaps of people that sort of have lots of questions around how should I set up my OKR program? What sort of team structure should I have? What's a good OKR look like? Or even just getting feedback on OKRs. You can get all of that in our Discord community. So come along, check it out. There's an application form there. It is only for people who are either looking to embed OKRs or are trying to improve how they're doing OKRs. We don't want anyone in there trying to sell stuff or anything like that. So you do have to apply to get in, but once you're in, it's an amazing place. Finally, I skimmed super quickly the OKR setting process, right? That is a whole topic in itself. The video coming up here gives you a clear explanation of exactly what you need to do to run a killer OKR workshop and have an amazing fun piece for your team. Gang, it's been amazing. Have an incredible rest of your day, and I will speak to you all very soon. Peace.